Good morning, Valley Middle School. Welcome to another G67 math video. Today we're going to be looking at multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. But before we do that, let's take a look at our trivia question of the day. Just for fun, what is the main ingredient in guacamole? I think you probably know that one. I did. Do you know the other couple of little ingredients? All right, today officially our target is I can multiply and divide positive and negative integers. Let's do this thing. The Golden Gopher football team lost 10 yards on each of 3 consecutive plays. What was the total change in position for the first 3 plays? Well, let's take a look at it. If they started on the 50-yard line and they're moving this direction, and they lose 10 yards, they're back to the 40, and they lose another 10 yards, they're back to the 30, and another 10 yards, they're back to the 20. We can look at this in a number sentence saying that it's negative 10 yards times 3 plays equals a negative 30, or a negative 30 yards. This is an example of working with negative numbers and multiplying negative integers. Let's take a look at the key information for tonight on our must-know vocabulary page. First of all, remember, a negative integer, that's an integer that's to the left of 0 on the number line. It's less than 0. A positive integer, of course, is an integer to the right of 0 on the number line. It is more than 0. Now, I think there are 3 ways that I could think of that really help kids efficiently remember how to multiply, what the rules for multiplying positive and negative numbers. The first is just remembering a simple fact family like this, that 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times a negative 4 is a negative 12, a negative 3 times a 4 equals a negative 12, and a negative 3 times a negative 4 equals 12 as well. So what you have here is you've got 2 negatives equaling a positive, and you've got 2 positive equaling a positive. If you have 1 negative, you are going to have a negative answer. That's kind of the way I've written it out here. If it helps you to remember that a positive times a negative equals a negative times a negative equals a positive, and a positive times a positive equals a positive, that's another way. Just to remember those 3 little sentences. I'm just not that smart, so I remember 2 sentences. I remember that if there's an even number of negative symbols, it's going to be a positive answer. So if you have 4 negatives you're multiplying together, that's going to be positive. An odd number of negative symbols is going to equal a negative. These both have odd numbers of negatives. There's only 1 negative there, so that's going to be a negative answer, a negative product. Same with division. It'll be a negative quotient if you only have an odd number of negative symbols. So if there's 3 negative symbols in a problem and you're multiplying them together, you will have a negative answer. So even number, positive, odd number, negative. Let's try some examples. So we have 3 times 5, negative 3 times 5. All right, what do you think? Yes, it's a negative 15. Watch the way I do this problem. 6 times 7 is 42, and I've got an even number, so that's going to be a positive 42. 2 times 9 is 18. There's 1 negative symbol, so that's going to be a negative 18. See how I think about it? This is a negative 4 squared. Well, this really means a negative 4 times a negative 4. So that's 2. That's going to be a positive 16. This here is 4 times 4. This is 16 as well. Then we make it negative, a negative 16. Get it? Those last 2 are a little tricky, but I'm going to have some on the quiz that look like that as well. So try to remember how to do those. All right, let's look at some quotients. 21 divided by 7. Again, I don't pay attention to the negative symbols at first. I do the problem. 21 divided by 7 is 3. I've got 1 negative symbol, so it's a negative 3. 28 divided by 7 is 4. I've got 2 negatives, so that's going to be a positive quotient, a 4. 63 divided by 7, well, that's 9, and there's 1 negative symbol, an odd number, that's going to be negative 9. 56 divided by 7, well, that's 8, and there's 2 or an even number of negative symbols, so that's going to be a positive 8. Get the way I work it? I hope that works for you. I think it's pretty efficient for me. All right, let's have you try a few here. Oh, I guess I'm going to try these. These are a little bit more complicated. So now we've got 5 times 4 times a negative 5. So this is really a negative 20. So now I have a negative times a negative. That's going to be a positive 100 because I do have those 2 negative symbols. The brackets didn't really impact it there. You just have to be careful when the brackets involve squared numbers. All right, let's see. Negative 3 times a negative 4, well, that would be 12 times 60 or 12 times 5, that's going to be 60, and I've got an odd number, so that's a negative 60. I could have also done this. No, we can do 4 times 5 first and get a positive 20 and still get negative 60. Uh-oh, here's an a squared, so we're going to have to be careful with that. All right, so we've got a equals 4 and b equals a negative 2. Let's see how we're going to do that. I put that problem down here, so we'll just take a look at it. So I substituted in the 4 squared minus 2 times a negative 2, because b was equal to a negative 2. I simplified. The 4 squared is equal to 16 plus negative 2 times a negative 2. Did you notice how I changed 4 minus 2 to, I'm sorry, this would be 16. Sorry about that. This would be 16 minus 2. I changed it to 16 plus a negative 2. It helps me to remember this. This is a negative 2. Well, negative times a negative is a positive 4. So now I have 16 plus 4, which is 20. All right, let's keep rolling. Now it's time for you to try some. Go ahead and give these a shot. Okay, if you substitute in that negative 3, you have negative 6 divided by negative 3, which is 2. Try these other two. You can use a calculator if you need to. Okay, well, 100 divided by 25, that's 4. And I've got 2 negatives, so yeah, that's a positive 4. And this last one, well, it's going to be a negative answer, right? A negative 21, because we have a negative divided by a positive. All right, a couple more. Try these two. Yikes. All right, now we've got a whole string of them here, so let's take a look at what we've got here in our Yabbits questions. Well, this would be 10, this would be 20, this would be 60, right? Let's see. 5 times 2 is 10, times 2 is 20. It looks like 60, and if I count the symbols, it's going to be a negative 60 because there's 3 of them. All right, I think I added one more on there. Isn't it the same problem? It sure is. Negative 5, so this is going to give you 10. I'm just going to do it and then deal with the negatives at the end like I normally do. This is 10, this is 20, this is 60, this is 120, and I've got 4 negative symbols, so that's going to be a positive 120. I think it just helps to deal with the negatives at the end. And in most situations, that works just fine. All right, for your ticket to the show today, I would like you to complete these questions or these statements. The product of 2 integers with the same sign is blank. The product of 2 integers with different signs is blank. The quotient of 2 integers with different signs is blank. The quotient of 2 integers with the same sign is blank. If you'd rather than doing this ticket, write out some of those basic rules that you need to know in a way that helps you understand them, I would accept that as well if you wrote them out in sentence form. All right, our ticket to the show, or I'm sorry, our just for fun question. What is the main ingredient in guacamole? I think you probably knew it was the avocado. And actually, they said all you really need here is a little salt and then a little lime juice for acidity. I did not know that. I thought there was probably more things in there. All right, you have a great day. Have a good one. Bye.